Hey everyone, Melinda, the classical beatboxer here. This is the second video in my History of Beatboxing Style series. Last week, I started in the 1980s, in the early 1980s, with the Fat Boys, who were known for their audible, breathy, heavy beats. Very simple, very clean. Now, the next logical decade for us to cover would be the 90s, but beatboxing kind of took a back seat to all the other components of hip-hop culture in the 90s. So we're going to keep focusing on the 80s for now, since there was so much going on with beatboxing in the 80s, and then we'll jump to the 2000s. So in the 80s, in addition to the Fat Boys, there were two other huge pioneers of beatboxing that did a lot to propel the genre and add a lot of innovation to it. One of those people is Dougie Fresh. In 1985, Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick wrote a song together called Lottie Dottie, and it became huge. So the first beat I'm going to bring to you today is based off of the beat in Lottie Dottie, and it goes something like this. So Dougie Fresh's style is very clean and very technical, and he was the first one to start to do really fast beats. Now, another huge person in the 1980s for beatboxing was Biz Markie. We can't talk about beatboxing in the 80s without talking about Biz Markie. Now, in 1988, I believe, 1988, 1989, Biz Markie released a song called Just a Friend, which is still popular to this day. I still hear it all the time. So this beat I'm going to bring to you is influenced by Just a Friend. But instead of just using my mouth, I'm also going to use my vocal cords, because Biz Markie was one of the first people to hum and beatbox at the same time. So here's a little something from Just a Friend by Biz Markie, closing out the decade of beatboxing. That's beatboxing in the 1980s. Next week, we'll pick up with beatboxing in the new century. Stay tuned.